These are 6 cocky UFC hype trains that were brutally derailed in 2025.
I just got to get in there and show what's really in here. And in here, I'm already the champion.
Oh, he's getting elbows in. Gets off. Stops it. Diego Lopez got you. Noche is yours.
I think he knows that I'm a better striker than him, that I hit hard, because he doesn't want to get knocked out.
The UFC has seen plenty of hype trains storm through, and all of whom looked like the next big superstars. But when confidence starts tipping over into cockiness, that's usually when things go wrong, and these next 6 prospects found that out the hard way. We'll kick things off with Bo Nickal, who signed with the UFC back in 2022, even though he only had 3 MMA fights under his belt. 2 of those came on Dana White's Contender Series.
I guess Bo Nickal got your attention the second time around. Not enough the first time, but this was enough tonight.
My God. Yeah. Incredible, man. Kid's incredible.
Despite little experience in MMA, Nickal's signing with the UFC didn't come as a surprise because the hype around him was massive, as he was already a 3-time NCAA Division I wrestling champion.
All I'm saying is, it's been a long time since we've seen a prospect with this kind of ceiling. And so what is the ceiling? I think he could be a top 15 guy right now.
Nickal lived up to the buzz right away, as in his UFC debut, he ran through Jamie Pickett and submitted him in under 3 minutes.
Wow. I don't have any other words to describe this guy. He is what I call a once-in-a-lifetime type of talent.
A few months later, Nickal came back and showed he wasn't just a wrestler, as he stopped Val Woodburn with his hands in a quick TKO. With back-to-back dominant wins, Nickal's confidence started spilling over, with him talking about beating the top guys in the division.
Me versus Hamza, USA versus Russia. I think that there's just no better story in MMA right now than that. We're really like 2 forces just kind of heading towards each other, destined to collide, I feel.
Even the pros were backing him to the hilt.
We are expecting a lot from Bo, and we're expecting him to clean house.
He's the next face of the UFC. I would bet a lot of money on that.
If you're able to put him against Israel Adesanya now, just according to styles, Bo Nickal beats him. Bo Nickal beats him. He puts him to his back, controls his wrist, grapples the heck out of him, and that's all she wrote.
Despite all the praise, Bo still needed to prove himself with bigger wins, and he did just that. In his 3rd UFC fight, Nickal submitted Cody Brundage in the 2nd round, and in his 4th, he picked up the biggest win of his career by outpointing Paul Craig at UFC 309. With his win over Craig, the UFC felt it was time to see if Bo was ready for the big fish, so they matched him up with Rainier DeRitter, a UFC newcomer but a former 2-division champion in the one promotion and one of the craftiest grapplers in the sport. It was a massive test, but Bo was sure he'd ace it with flying colors.
I think he knows that I'm a better striker than him, that I hit hard, and not to say he doesn't have skills, because he absolutely does, and there's a lot of things that he does really well on the feet, but I think I have an advantage there. And so wherever the fight goes, I'll be ready to compete.
DeRitter, who was 19-2 with 2 out of 2 wins in the UFC at the time of their fight, wasn't intimidated by Bo's wrestling credentials.
I've been taking down guys since before he was even wrestling, so yeah.
Good headline.
On fight night, Rainier DeRitter wisely decided against grappling a world-class wrestler. Instead, he kept things standing and traded shots on the feet with Nickal, who couldn't keep up with the pace and was brutally stopped in the 2nd round with a knee to the body. Nickal's critics were over the moon, as they called him a fraud and overrated, but Nickal was fighting back.
Suck my At the end of the day, like, say what you want, but when I get back on top and when I'm the freaking champion of the world,
they're all crawling back.
You all come crawling back.
They always do.
And I'll spit right in your face.
At 29, Bo Nickal still has time to rebuild in the middleweight division, because right now he's nowhere near champ Khamzat Chimaev's level, let alone the rest of the contenders. But Caio Borralho was rightfully seen as the real deal and a future champion in the making, until he was brutally humbled and dropped way down the ladder. The leader of the Fighting Nerds, Caio Borralho, signed with the UFC in 2022 after picking up 2 big wins on Dana White's Contender Series, but his official debut wasn't exactly the highlight he wanted, as he beat Gadzi Gadziev by technical decision after an accidental foul stopped the fight in round 3. Caio looked much sharper in his next 2 outings, scoring solid wins over Armen Petrosyan and Makhmud Muradov.
If you see my last 4 fights, 3 of them was 3-round fights, and I didn't even get touched in my face. So today I'm a little bit sore because I got some heavy shots, but even with this, I can win the fights. I'm a high-level guy, and I'm proving all you guys that.
And though his start was impressive, fans and fighters started taking him seriously only when he submitted Michal Oleksiejczuk in 2023. With a streak of wins, Caio's confidence really started to shine through, and he kept on building his resume with the decision win over Abus Magomedov and a crushing knockout of Paul Craig.
You called it and you got it done.
Yeah, I was calling it since the first day of my training camp. You know, the mantra of my training camp was I was gonna KO. I will gonna KO Paul Craig, and I did it.
And Caio's winning run didn't stop there. In August 2024, he beat former title challenger Jared Cannonier by decision to prove that he was championship caliber.
That's a team of fucking savages.
Who else is there?
Caio Borralho, who's one of the top 185 pounders, who might be the best in the world. I mean, when he fights Dricus du Plessis, eventually we'll see, but he's just torching that division.
Many in the MMA world were now calling for Caio to fight for the belt, but since the UFC had Khamzat lined up next against champ Dricus du Plessis, they decided to keep Caio in the mix by naming him the backup fighter for UFC 319, although he wasn't needed that night as Chimaev and DDP fought and Chimaev won.
For sure, it's a title fight, high-level guys. Dricus du Plessis, he was doing very good in the division. He was the reigning champion and everything. But when the grappler guys come and don't finish, becomes a boring fight like that.
Within weeks after UFC 319, Caio got a worthy title eliminator against Nassourdine Imavov at UFC Paris. Heading into it, Caio and his team were insinuating how everybody, including Imavov, was scared to fight him.
How can you fucking blame this guy for not wanting to fight you? I was like,
yeah,
I wouldn't
it's my
fucking
fault.
fight you.
At the end of the day, it's my fault. I'm sorry, guy.
Caio was also expecting an easy win over Imavov on fight night.
Now it's time to show who is the best, and I'm willing to go there, put on my work, and put on a great performance, and hope all the UFC and the fans enjoy, and then after that, go for the belt.
Not only that, he also thought he was the man to beat Chimaev.
What do you possess?
I think my jiu-jitsu, I think I can give a lot of threats on him, on my jiu-jitsu, on my ground game, if it's on the bottom or on the top, but mostly on the bottom because he might take me down the fight, and I accept that. And it's more the way that I'm gonna frustrate him, you know what I mean? Denying his steps and showing all my versatility. So my jiu-jitsu, and when it comes in the striking, my distance control, my feints, I'm gonna make him shoot in a wrong time, in a different time that he wanted. So that's the kind of threats that I possess.
On fight night, Caio failed to back his words as Imavov completely controlled him. Imavov kept the fight standing, shut down Caio's grappling attempts, and outstruck him from start to finish to win by a unanimous decision with dominant scores of 50-45 and 49-46 across the board. The loss completely derailed Caio's hype train. In fact, the night in Paris turned into a nightmare for his rising squad of the Fighting Nerds, as his teammate Mauricio Rufy, the guy who had boldly claimed he would destroy Islam Makhachev, also went down in an embarrassing fashion. Another shining star of the Fighting Nerds, Mauricio Rufy, has a pretty wild story. He first made his mark on Dana White's Contender Series 65 when he went up against Khabib's teammate, Raymond Magomedov, and stopped him in the 3rd round to crush Raymond's dream of joining the UFC. When Rufy finally got to the UFC, he wasted no time showing what he was about. In his debut, he ran through Jamie Mullarkey and finished him in the very first round with punches at UFC 301. Rufy's debut debut was a sight to behold, and even Dana White couldn't hide his excitement. Rufy was excited too, and he made the most of his hype by already calling out Islam Makhachev.
I have a message for Islam Makhachev, a nice message. Hey, enjoy your days at the top. I know you're upset because I beat your friend, but enjoy your days because a new king is coming.
A few months later, Rufy proved his wins weren't a fluke as he beat James Lontop with a clear unanimous decision. With 2 UFC wins in the bag and repping the fighting nerds, his name was starting to buzz, but his big moment came at UFC 313 when Rufy knocked out King Green with a vicious spinning wheel kick.
Mauricio Rufy, who's one of the baddest lightweights alive, gigantic lightweight, tall and long, wheel kicked Bobby Green into another dimension.
After another big win, Rufy fired more shots at Islam and Team Khabib.
He's a big Conor McGregor fan. He loves McGregor's style. You know, one thing that he wants is when he is ready to fight Islam Makhachev, when he goes to fight him, he wants to invite Conor McGregor to be in his corner. So it's us against the Russians. You know, he wants McGregor there. He wants McGregor to be able to be up close and taste the victory for when he beats the Russians. And, you know, Khabib's going to be there, of course. So he wants McGregor to be there as part of his corner as well for when he defeats the Russians and put an end to Islam Makhachev.
The highlight reel knockout coupled with his jabs at Makhachev put him on the map in a big way. However, when Islam Makhachev vacated the belt and Ilia Topuria won it by knocking out Charles Oliveira, Rufy turned his attention to Topuria and told him to enjoy his time as the champ because he was soon going to knock Ilia out cold. Since Rufy was popular but still nowhere near an actual title shot, the UFC decided to test him against one of the dangerous contenders in the division, Benoit Saint-Denis. But even with such a tough fight ahead, Rufy's confidence was still sky high.
I don't know if it's going to be in the first round. I'm going to be in the second round. It's going to be in the third round, but it's over.
Rufy talked the talk, but when it was time to walk the walk, he faltered badly, as on fight night at UFC Paris, he was dominated and submitted by Saint-Denis in the second round. Although it's a major setback for Rufy, he has the right skills to bounce back into title contention, but it's definitely a long road back for him, unlike another teammate of his. A week after Rufy's loss to Saint-Denis, Jean Silva went up against Diego Lopez in a featherweight title eliminator that was about to turn the team into a laughingstock. Unlike his fighting nerds teammates, Jean Silva's rise has been the most talked about, mainly because of how violent his fights have been. Like Rufy and Bahalio, Silva also earned his spot in the UFC through Dana White's Contender Series. But out of the 3, his debut stood out the most as he came in and absolutely mauled Weston Wilson for a brutal stoppage. From there, the hype only got louder because at UFC 303, Silva made his official walk into the octagon and dismantled Charles Jourdain in just 2 rounds. After the fight, he said he had every single person in his division on his hit list.
As far as that's concerned, you know, next steps, I've made some calculations here. Like doing 10 plus 10, actually, with 12 plus 12, I said 12K plus 12K plus fight. There are about 81 dudes to beat up in this division. So if I continue to beat him at 24K, I think I could be really rich if I beat him all.
The violent win paired with the way he carried himself had fans itching to know more about who this guy really was, and his story only made his rise more compelling. Silva grew up autistic, and as a child, he witnessed his mother being assaulted by multiple men. He fights with a mindset shaped by trauma, and it's clear when you watch him there's an edge to everything he throws. We saw that again when he went to war with the always tough Drew Dober, who refused to quit, but the damage piled up so badly that doctors had to step in and stop the fight.
I'm going to do my best not to broadcast a Gene Silva crush right now because, man, this guy is incredible. I love the way he fights, the way he carries himself, and, like, he's kind of got this Conor McGregor aura about him. Charisma and aura. Yeah, he's just a lot of fun.
By the end of 2024, Silva wasn't just another name anymore, he was quickly becoming a must-watch prospect, and he kicked off 2025 in the same destructive fashion, stopping Melsik Bagdasarian to prove he was no longer just a hot prospect. At UFC 314, Silva cemented himself as one of the scariest guys in the division by brutally submitting Bryce Mitchell in the second round.
I mean, he put me to sleep, so I had nothing left to give.
Silva was now in the championship conversation.
The fight that I really wanted to see was Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva.
Right.
Because John Silva is a motherfucker, dude. That guy looks like a world champion.
Before he could touch UFC gold, however, Silva still had to get past one of the division's most dangerous and equally violent contenders, Diego Lopez. Heading into the fight, Silva felt like he was already the man.
I just got to get in there and show what's really in here, and in here I'm already the champion.
Silva also took shots at Lopez at every opportunity.
So basically, Diego was doing matchmaking and basically signed on this coffin already. So screw that. I mean, that's it. I mean, he signed on it. So if that's what he wants to be, I'll just put some dirt on that coffin.
Silva even went as far as claiming that Diego provoked his team in a hotel run-in and the two almost threw down.
He said a few things, and he kept asking me how I liked it, and security kind of stepped in, but Flavio Alvaro, one of my coaches, old school guy, came and said to him, bro, just chill out or you're gonna get it here. So you know how Brazilians are.
But Silva's dramatic version was far from reality, as Lopez's YouTube vlog showed Silva was the real culprit. As wild as the build-up to their fight was, the fight was even better as both men came out guns blazing. Silva came out with his usual violent style and almost cut Lopez in half, but Lopez survived the onslaught and came back to score a knockout that shocked the world.
What advice would you give him now that he suffered his first loss in the UFC?
Maybe train more. Talk less, train more.
Talk less, train more is solo the device, and the prospect we're about to talk about really needs to follow it, because the last time he got cocky, he ended up denting the Nurmagomedov legacy. Umar Nurmagomedov needs little introduction. He's Khabib's cousin, he's got belts in 2 promotions, and many believe his skill set easily tops Khabib's.
Let's be honest, Umar Nurmagomedov may be better than Khabib Nurmagomedov, simply because he's a more diverse threat. Obviously Khabib was well-rounded, but the striking wasn't as good as what little Umar's is.
Umar came into the UFC in 2021 as an undefeated 12-0 prospect, and he immediately lived up to the hype by finishing Sergey Morozov in just 2 rounds.
I believe we're seeing a new champion, yes, 100%. He still has improvements to make, but he's going to make them, and yeah, you will be seeing you'll be seeing him with the strap, 5-6 fights from now.
In his second fight at the UFC 272, Umar raised the bar even higher, completely dominating Brian Kelleher and choking him out in under 4 minutes.
Omar is the most dangerous guy, man. I'm going to say it right now. He can wrestle, he can strike, he can box. He's well-rounded. He's seen his brother and his cousin win world titles, and he wants to be next.
Umar's wins over Nate Maness, Raoni Barcelos, and Bekzat Almakhan only solidified his hype, but it was his 5-round masterclass against Corey Sandhagen in the summer of 2024 that really put him in the title picture.
I was very impressed with Umar. Very impressed, because I always knew he was an elite kicker. He's an elite striker too, but to see him fight a guy like Sandhagen, who's so complex, he does so many things well, and to see him dominate that fight, I was like, wow, that's really impressive.
With his win over Sandhagen, Umar was brimming with confidence, and he began suggesting that the champ, Merab Dvalishvili, was avoiding him.
It's looking like very bad. It's looking like he tried to avoid, like he's scared.
Even Sean O'Malley, who lost his bantamweight title just a month after Umar beat Sandhagen, jumped in to fuel the fire.
I think Merab's scared of Umar.
And Merab didn't take kindly to that. He argued Umar was surely talented, but hadn't done enough yet to deserve a shot at the belt.
I'm telling you guys, from top 15, he only win 1 fight.
The back and forth trash talk lit a fire under both men, and before long, the UFC booked them against each other at UFC 311. The build-up was personal, and neither man missed a chance to take shots at the other.
You are piece of shit, okay? You are piece of shit. You lost respect. You lost respect as a man for me, okay?
I just described your behavior. You try to avoid me. You even doesn't mention my name.
Who are you? Who are you? You don't even does it. You think I'm gonna go backwards and fight number 15?
I'm gonna show
I'm fighting
you.
for the belt.
I'm gonna take this belt, and you know it.
You fucking, how dare you, sneaky guy?
The fight was just as intense as all the trash talk before it. Umar started strong, taking the first 2 rounds, but then Merab turned things around with his non-stop pressure. He dominated the last 3 rounds and handed Umar the first loss of his career. Umar wasn't having it as he jumped on Instagram after the fight and claimed he was robbed. Umar's loss didn't put an end to the rivalry, with Merab running the division and Umar still having the skills to make a strong comeback. A rematch always feels possible, but Umar will have to produce something truly special to impress the champ.
He's spoiled for sure. He still is, because he's in after the fight.
Well, he's fighting next against Mario Bautista.
Yes.
Do you think that if he wins, he'll get another chance to fight you?
This is tough fight for him. Bautista is good fighter, but
Bautista's very good.
very good. Yeah, he's like a 7-fight win streak. I don't think so. He will deserve to fight me, because he has to fight more.
With Umar and Merab now leading the bantamweight scene, Sean O'Malley looks completely lost. Once hyped up as the next Conor McGregor, his recent losses have seriously hurt his momentum and may have shut the door on his title hopes for the next few years. Sean O'Malley was one of the earliest standouts to come out of Dana White's Contender Series, and right from the start, people knew he had something special. O'Malley introduced himself in style by knocking out Alfred Kazakian to earn his UFC contract.
What'd you say to Dana at the end there?
I said, welcome to the Sugar Show.
But his first 2 fights inside the octagon weren't exactly fireworks, as he scraped by with decision wins over Terrion Ware and Andre Sukumthaf. O'Malley's potential exploded at UFC 248 when he needed just 2 minutes to head kick Jose Quinones into oblivion. He followed it up with an even bigger highlight at UFC 250, delivering a walk-off knockout against veteran Eddie Wineland in under 2 minutes.
I felt like I was, really the main attraction for this card.
At UFC 252, however, he fought Marlon Chito Vera and ended up losing by TKO after damaging his perineal nerve. O'Malley bounced back strongly, knocking out Thomas Almeida at UFC 260 and then racking up back-to-back wins over Chris Mutino and Halion Paiva to rebuild the hype.
First round knockout, can't complain. That feels good, feels real good.
The turning point of his career came at UFC 280 against former champ Petr Yan. In what was a razor-close fight, O'Malley went strike for strike with Yan and pulled off a split decision win to prove he could hang with the elite.
O'Malley is the biggest star in our sport right now. And Red Panda Night is still real.
O'Malley's victory earned him a shot at the title, and at UFC 292, he delivered again, stopping Aljamain Sterling with precision striking to become bantamweight's champion. In his first title defense, he made a statement by completely dominating Marlon Vera for 5 rounds, avenging his only career loss up until that point.
Mate, it was a landslide.
Yeah.
Sean was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Dude, not only was he striking on point, and I mentioned this in my predictions, that his spacing is so good. And obviously he's got long reach.
Somewhere along the lines, however, O'Malley's confidence turned into cockiness, and that's led to his downfall. When O'Malley was booked to face Merab Dvalishvili at UFC 306, he thought it was just another challenge that he was going to breeze through.
Rob is stupid, but not, well, he might be that stupid. We'll find out Saturday night. And, I think I'm going to get it done the way I always get it done. I'm going to put this dude face first.
Even though he had a tough challenge right in front of him, O'Malley was already talking about a possible fight with Gervonta Davis, chasing that same crossover dream McGregor once lived.
Do you think that pushes you closer to getting a super fight with a guy like Gervonta Tank Davis one day?
Yeah, it depends on my performances. I got to go out there and knock this dude out with my hands. I do that a few more times, that fight's inevitable.
O'Malley came in full of confidence, but on fight night, Merab once again stunned the world. He smothered O'Malley with non-stop pressure, dragged him to the mat whenever he wanted, and even held his own in the striking exchanges. O'Malley did land a nasty body kick midway through the 5th that briefly slowed Merab down, but it wasn't nearly enough as Merab won the belt by a dominant, unanimous decision.
How tricky he did against Aljo, I try to do same, you know, like if you don't want to come to me, I'm not gonna come. And so yeah, nothing surprised me actually, you know, I make him look normal.
O'Malley eventually got his immediate rematch a year later, but the result was the same, meaning that he's now in a really tough spot, and if he wants another crack at the title, he'll need to grind harder than anyone else on this list. So which prospect had the biggest downfall? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and check out times cocky UFC fighters got completely destroyed and humbled by their opponents.